You're listening to New England Real Estate Journal Radio with Rick Kaplan, New England source for commercial real estate news. This is New England Real Estate Journal Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
Welcome to the New England Real Estate Journal Radio Show. I'm Rick Kaplan with my co-host Eric Wilson, and today's show is brought to you by the New England Real Estate Journal, bringing together the commercial real estate industry for over 50 years. Find us at NEREJ.com. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor for the show, call 800-654-4993 or email us at radio@nerej.com. Again, that's 800-654-4993 or email radio@nerej.com. And we have in the studio today with Mike Musto of U.S. Pavement, and we'll be having an interview with him on our next segment. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Rick. How are you?
Good, thank you. And we have our famous Eric Wilson.
Always.
And Eric's been kind of busy the last couple of weeks, right, Eric?
I have. This is the busy season for us for all the networking events that are going on.
Tis the season.
Tis the season. I went to the SMPS workshop yesterday, the BDI workshop, which was really good. Shout out to Gil Brentley and Karen Courtney. They did a fantastic job presenting on all the topics about business development. Very engaging as well. I thought that they must have had teacher backgrounds because the way they used the board. You know how a teacher will write on the board and then start slapping it like the old Pictionary game? She did that very well. So she made either that, she was really good at that game as well. But and then also we went to the U.S Business Network.
Networking event in Boston.
Howl at the Moon.
Yeah, Adam's rolling his eyes. He doesn't want to hear about another network.
I understand. But it was a networking event. And,
I know the lovely people behind your business.
Fantastic group. And I guess everybody was there to see you, Rick.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't they be?
You guys are busy signing autographs.
I was.
I actually didn't attend. I had to get ready for other events. I had a basketball game, actually.
Other events.
And I hadn't played basketball in a month, and I thought it was due time to get in shape.
I had to play racquetball, and I still went out, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, Eric. You know?
I got up at 5 to go to Boston in that traffic on Route 3, so that's why I went to bed early.
That's a job in itself, just sitting in traffic in the Boston highways.
It is, but we have some big events coming up. We have the Rock Gala, which is also this week, which is an SMPS event. And I know that we have some upcoming events coming up. Our event on June 11th next week.
June 11th at the Sheridan Harborside Portsmouth Hotel. We have a big event. A couple hundred people are going to be there. And I want to mention our platinum sponsor, Rochester, New Hampshire, which they're doing a fantastic job.
Fastest growing community in the seacoast of New Hampshire.
One of the fastest growing communities on the seacoast. Yes, and we also want to mention that you should come down and join us at the Rhode Island Real Estate Expo, Convention and Expo, and that's at the New England Institute of Technologies in East Greenwich campus. That's going to be another great event. That was sold out right away.
Yeah, it was like 11 minutes or something.
Yeah, and they got like 400 people attending this thing. This is going to be a nice event. Also, I want to mention that we're going to be at the NEBFM.
Yeah, we'll be doing a radio show from there as well in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so check out,
stop
by.
Show over there. So you come down and say hello to us while we're.
You guys have to meet us in person.
That's right.
We're even better than we are on the video.
Yeah, because video puts on 10 pounds.
It does.
So that's all I need is an extra 10 pounds.
Right. I take that off. I start to look okay.
Yeah.
Or anyway, I feel
I
okay.
mean, I wouldn't go that far.
Most people wouldn't. But yeah, so we're extremely busy. We have a ton of events coming up. There's also the Connecticut Commercial Real Estate Symposium, which is going to be in July. All these,
and that's going to be on July 16th at the Great River Golf Club, and that's a whole day event. That's also going to be another great event.
Yeah, that's
in Connecticut.
Exactly, and then also IREM has Steve Wiley coming in to do. Their summer event to speak on business development. So
that's right. That's the
12th. It's
June
the day
12th.
Right after our event. So
and
you can double up that
morning.
Yeah, not in the morning like we thought, but you can double up that event.
Yeah. So we're going to come back in a few minutes with Mike Musto. He's the president of U.S. Pavement, and we're going to talk a little bit about his company. which is he's got some interesting things to go over with us. And the show today is brought to you by the New England Real Estate Journal, bringing together the commercial real estate industry for over 50 years. Find us at NEREJ.com. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor for the show, call 800-654-4993 or email us at radio@nerej.com. Again, that's 800-654-4993 or email radio@nerej.com. And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
The next level in commercial real estate. This is New England Real Estate Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with my co-host, Eric Wilson. And I want you to join us, me and Eric, at the 2014 Rhode Island Realtors Conference and Expo on June 26th from 8:30 to 3 at New England Institute of Technology's East Greenwich campus. See some of the newest products and services for lending, marketing, and more. You can also participate in breakout sessions being held throughout the day. For more information or to register, call 401-785-9898, extension 1, or visit rirealtors.org/RIAR Expo. Again, that's 401-785-9898, extension 1, or visit rirealtors.org/RIAR Expo. And we have in the studio with us is Mike Musto. He is the president and CEO of U.S. Pavement Services. Hi, Mike.
Hello, Rick.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. So tell us a little bit about U.S. Pavement. There's a lot of things that go on with U.S. Pavement that we're finding out.
Well, we've been doing a lot of things over the past few years. I started the company back in 1985, so I've been doing it for almost 30 years. And we do paving, seal coating, crack filling, concrete work, line painting, and basically anything outside of a building other than landscaping. I went to business school at Babson College in Wellesley and decided that I wanted my own company and started this in 1985. So we've grown quite a bit over the years. At the beginning, I started as like a driveway seal coating company, and we got our big break. And my first commercial account was Papagino's, where I actually met with their operations director before I had ever seal coated, and told them the importance of seal coating, and actually sold that job. And
the rest is history.
Lo and behold, we figured out how to do it, and we seal coated that parking lot, and they gave us 12 others to do.
Wow.
So that's
that was the transformation from residential to commercial?
Yes, it was, and that was the first year in 1985, and we still do work for Papagino's even to this day.
Oh, wow.
That's a free plug for Papagino's, too.
There you go. That's true.
And they have very nice-looking parking lots.
So, well, since then, we've grown the company quite a bit, doing our own work in New England, and we do quite a bit of national work as well. We've grown to about $38 million in sales, and we were actually selected for the second year in a row as one of the top pavement contractors in the country by Pavement Magazine, which was a great honor for us. My biggest move and my best marketing decision came in 2005, and that's when I acquired the phone number 1-800-PAVEMENT. And we put it all over our trucks, our job signs, 12-foot-long signs on the sides of our trucks, job signs everywhere, so people saw it and remembered it, and it gave us that boost that set us apart from the competition. So after seeing the success of just the phone number itself and people remembering how to reach us, it tells people who we are, what we do, and how to reach us. I acquired other phone numbers for the pavement industry, such as 1-800-SEAL-COAT, 1-800-BLACKTOP, 1-800-DRIVEWAY, 888-PAVEMENT, and 1-800-STRIPING. And we started licensing these phone numbers to pavement contractors throughout the country by area code. So if you're in Fort Myers, Florida, and you call 1-800-SEAL-COAT, you're going to get a local contractor down there that's licensing our phone numbers. So this has kind of morphed into its own little network, or big network, should I say, of over 140 contractors. And we actually get national account work and subcontract work to them. We've subcontracted over $30 million in work just to these network members. So not only are we showing them how to grow their local market with the phone numbers, but we're also giving them national work, and it's helped us grow our business too. And the group does about $500 million in total sales.
Oh, so let me ask you exactly on the 800s numbers. So let's say someone calls 1-800-PAVEMENT and they're in, well, let's say Minnesota. I don't know why I picked Minnesota, but let's say Minnesota. And how does the 800 number determine that goes to Minnesota?
Well, 1-800-PAVEMENT is just our number. So we use that nationally, and that's how we get our national account work. So that's
Okay.
it would come to our company.
See. Okay.
It would come to our Woburn phone. But the other phone numbers, like 1-800-BLACKTOP, it's directed. It's a different type of. It's called geo-routing, and it's routed by area codes. So whoever's in that Minnesota market, if you call 1-800-BLACKTOP from that market, those people within that area code are going to get the call.
Oh.
I was just going to ask, so the subcontractors that you work with that get these geo-routed, 1-800 numbers, have you worked with them prior to them joining this network? Is there a vetting process they go through to get this network?
We do. It's difficult to see how good of a contractor they are.
Right.
But typically, I've learned we started licensing them in 2006, but we've learned quickly that the ones who really want to get in are very good contractors. They want to grow their business, and they see the vision of what we're producing. But when we subcontract work to them, we manage it.
Okay.
We project manage it for them.
All right.
So we're setting up the schedules and things like that.
Right.
So we've had really good success with it.
I can imagine. I mean, that's a very good idea to get all those 800 numbers and then network with the national groups. And I mean, that's an unbelievable idea.
Yeah, I know. This was your brainstorm, right?
It was our brainstorm. Yes, my brainstorm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Give yourself credit.
You should, and even
idea.
crazy is that even in 2005 when you came up with this, that it still wasn't like no one was doing this before. It's amazing because that seems like such a no-brainer now that I hear you say it. Like, oh yeah, 1-800-BLACKTOP. Anybody in any area can call this number and we can get somebody out there to do the job. That's what all restaurants should do too.
Right. I mean, that should be. Well, someone else is probably going to pick up on that idea for other.
Well, I mean, he's got most of them: blacktop, seal coat, striping, pavement. I mean,
For the paving industry, there's pretty much most of the numbers.
That covers it right there. Yeah.
So a lot of these guys are probably loving you. I mean, this is
Some
business
of them have grown like fivefold in their own local market too by getting that phone number because people see it, they remember it. It gives them extra credibility, and it just gets them more work.
Yeah, it's the number that's tied to their industry,
Right.
their business. So, when you're thinking of blacktop or driveway or sealant, you're going to pick up that number. I love that
Exactly.
idea.
Yeah, I think that's. And what's the other things that you? What's the other things? I know there's another thing you said that you guys were doing after 2006. Other things that go along with U.S. Pavement, other than just the 800 numbers.
Okay, so, with this group of contractors, we also share best practices. We buy materials as a group, so we get discounts from major vendors too.
Right.
And one of them is a major hardware chain has given us a big discount. But in addition to this, we have a couple of things that we've done that's great for everyone involved, especially Americans. And we started in 2012. U.S. Pavement Services began a major campaign to buy only American goods, products, and services. And we did that at the time because the economy was so bad at that time.
So it helps
Americans
the manufacturers.
were losing jobs. We're buying too much stuff overseas. People weren't looking at what they were buying. We were just buying products. So we researched every product that we bought, including all our office supplies, to find out if it was American made. And if it wasn't, we made the switch to make it happen. So we started doing that. If some of the reasons, if if you compare China, for instance, we buy 5 times as much products from China as they buy from us. So it's not fair.
No.
So, and they own over $1 trillion of our debt.
Right.
Right, and it also that cuts a lot of our employment of American workers out.
Exactly. So we actually had spread this to the pavement industry. We created a guide for them, so all the pavement contractors can look through this guide and buy American products right through this guide, and a lot of them have done that so far.
Fantastic.
Well, we're going to go to a break, Mike, but we want to talk about the American-made idea, and we also want to talk about your pledge for veterans, because that's also another great concept that you came up with. But right now, I'd like to, let me find my paperwork. We're going to go to a break, but join Eric and I at the 2014 Rhode Island Realtors Convention and Expo on June 26th from 8:30 to 3 at New England Institute of Technology's East Greenwich campus. See some of the newest products and services for lending, marketing, and more. You can also participate in breakout sessions being held throughout the day. For more information or to register, call 401-785-9898 extension 1 or visit rirealtors.org at /RIAR Expo. Again, that's 401-785-9898 extension 1 or visit rirealtors.org /RIAR Expo. And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
Rick Kaplan and Eric Wilson, right here on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with my co-host Eric Wilson. And another event, don't miss out, NEBFM. You'll see me and Eric will be doing our show from that event as well. Do you sell to facilities managers, building owners, or property managers? See thousands of these decision makers at the Northeast Buildings and Facilities Management Show, June 18th and 19th at Boston Convention Center. Go to proexpos.com. That's proexpos.com. And don't forget to look for me and Eric at the mics at the show. And we're here in the studio with Mike Musto. He's the president of U.S. Pavements. And U.S. Pavements, I mean, you created an unbelievable company, Mike. You're
Thanks.
doing all kinds of good things. You helped a lot of these other paving companies throughout the country. You changed your company and all of their companies to buy American. And, tell us, how did you come up with the buy American? What made you decide to do that, and how long did that transition take to change over?
Well, there was a clip on TV, a Diane Sawyer Made in America clip. In fact, this is the same logo that they use back here. And that was kind of the final straw that I always had this in my mind that, geez, we should just be buying American products so that we can keep Americans working. So after I saw that, that was like the final decision that we're going to do this. And so since we're seasonal, we have lots of time in the winter in the office to get things done. We had a few people in the office researching for the entire winter. It probably took 3 months. Every single product that we bought, from equipment to tires to paper clips to everything. And we found out which products that we were buying weren't American and made the switch. And some of the products were a little more expensive and some weren't. But we made a pledge to switch. There were a couple of items that you couldn't even get in this country.
Yeah, that was my next question. Was there anything that you found that we actually didn't make anymore that other places?
Paper shredders, and you know what? There was one other thing I don't recall at this point.
All right.
But
so there is a couple of different things that we don't.
There are a few things that you just can't find here. But that clip that I had mentioned, one of the parts of it we're talking about how they were buying Chinese nails, and they switched to this company had switched to American nails, and the American nails were more expensive, but they got jammed in the guns much less often. Mm-hmm. So they were better. It was a better
made.
Quality.
Yeah.
It was a better quality item. So I mean, we did it for creating jobs in this country. So since we started in 2012, we've gone through, this is our third season of doing it. We've spent over $2 million more in American products than we would have if we didn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And because, the thing that people don't realize, when you go into a store, you're not even thinking of what you're buying. But if you put some brain power to it, like if you're going out to buy furniture, and I did that with my wife. We went to one of the major furniture stores, and we found that almost everything was not made in the United States.
Right.
Right, and I think a lot of people just take that for granted nowadays.
Exactly.
You know,
or they don't think about it. They want to buy
Right.
American, and they want Americans to have jobs, but lo and behold,
Right.
Most things aren't made in America.
You said you've spent probably $2 million more on American products than you did previously using other countries' products. Did that hurt the bottom line at all?
We didn't notice it.
Right. So
We did not notice it. So
that's good news.
If
That's
it
good news
did,
to every
it
other
was
company that wants to trans.
negligible, so that it didn't matter.
Right.
So, and another thing now, you also have a thing you started with your company called giving to the veterans or hiring veterans.
Pledge to hire veterans.
Pledge to hire veterans.
It's our pledge to hire veterans. Just to get back to the buying American,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of became a marketing campaign for us. So we think, there's no proof of it, but we think we got more work from it,
Right.
just by doing it. So that also helped us, and by the extra $2 million definitely created jobs.
Right.
Right. I mean, you created jobs, and you probably also didn't change your bottom line. So it's a win-win.
Right.
It sure is. So from buying American, our new passion is a pledge to hire veterans, and actually this is our logo up here that we've created for our pledge, and we started this my company is a Red Sox sponsor, so I'm sure you've seen 1-800-PAVEMENT at the park and USPavement.com.
Now that you mention it, I have.
Yeah, we have.
It's above the pesky pole in right field.
Right.
But we put together a game with the Wounded Warriors last year. It was last June 8th, and we invited over 250 Wounded Warriors and their families, and we put it together for them. The Red Sox helped us out for sure, and one of the Wounded Warriors threw the first pitch.
Oh, wow.
And he was an amputee, and he threw a perfect strike. And another Wounded Warrior's daughter sang the national anthem.
Oh, wow.
Which was, it was fantastic. But there was no better feeling than, to give back at that point. So I'm at that game. I was lucky enough to meet this gentleman named Steve Bond. He was an Army specialist from the 101st Airborne Division, and he was blown up in Afghanistan by a suicide bomber, and he was in rough shape. He had spine injuries, and he did come back to the country. I met him luckily at this game, and we became good friends. And he was really the reason why I got into this pledge to hire veterans, because I saw the need. I learned his story and all the barriers that he had to overcome, and I just felt that an obligation to him and to all veterans,
Right.
for that matter. There were 2.2 million veterans or servicemen that have served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they're all coming back. They all, they need
Right.
jobs,
Right.
and it's not about it's not about charity, because these are trained, skilled professionals,
Right.
and you
Yeah.
Eric firsthand.
But we can't figure out what he's trained to do. That's the only problem.
I was an old guard, so I was lucky enough. I was never deployed. I was in the ceremonial guard from the military. But it's amazing what you do, and that's a great story. And I'm glad that Steve's okay. And shout out to him for serving for us.
Steve is an amazing guy, and we actually hired Steve this winter. He's at the office right now, and he's going to be leading this pledge for us. And we're actually having another game on June 14th.
Nice.
And it's going to be for a pledge to hire veterans, and we're inviting. There's going to be another 250 people that we invite to the game. Steve Bond is actually going to be throwing the first pitch.
Nice.
And we have the national anthem again for another Wounded Warrior's Daughter, which is going to be a great thing.
These are great things that you're doing, but even on top of all of that, you are a perfect example of what a CEO president, their responsibility to the country, to our soldiers. That's a perfect example of what all our presidents of these companies that are out there in the United States should be doing, and I commend you for that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I always want to ask: is the pledge to hire veterans? Is this besides just U.S. Pavement? Has it gone into the networks yet? Have you pushed it out nationwide?
We've pushed it to right now. We have 31 contractors in our network that have hired or
that's
have
awesome.
Pledged to hire a veteran right now. So we are pushing this pledge quite a bit.
Fantastic.
And you can learn more about it at uspavement.com or call 1-800-PAVEMENT, and you can talk directly to Steve Bond.
Well, that's fantastic.
And that's a true American company, U.S. Pavement. And Mike Musto.
Mike Musto.
Mike Musto.
We know Rick
also is a true American. And Mike, if someone wants to get a hold of you and find out a little bit more about some of the things that you are doing, or even about having their parking lot paved.
Yep.
Well, obviously, it's 1-800-PAVEMENT.
1-800-PAVEMENT. You can't forget that.
Any more?
Or uspavement.com.
Or uspavement.com.
uspavement.com.
We really want to thank you for coming on the
show.
We really
do. We really
Mike.
Appreciate it.
Great information and great things that you're doing. I'm sure the people in the paving industry respect you quite a bit for doing the things you're doing as well. I know we do. After meeting you and finding out about all that, we definitely do.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
And that was Mike Musto, President and CEO of U.S. Pavement. And don't forget, NEBFM 2014, me and Eric will be at doing our show there. So do you sell to the facility managers, the building owners, and the property managers? See thousands of these decision makers at the Northeast Buildings and Facilities Management Show, June 18th and 19th at the Boston Convention Center. Go to proexpos.com. That's proexpos.com. And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
Rick Kaplan is right here on the Money Matters Radio Network.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with my co-host Eric Wilson. And our interview today is brought to you by New England Restaurant Brokers, recognized leader in the sale of food and liquor businesses for over 30 years. New England Restaurant Brokers' team of restaurant specialists have sold hundreds of food and liquor businesses. If you are looking to buy, sell, or develop a food or liquor business, call New England Restaurant Brokers at 617-721-9655 or go to nerestaurantbrokers.com. Again, that's New England Restaurant Brokers at 617-721-9655 or email nerb@comcast.net. That's nerb@comcast.net. And we have on the phone with us is Brian Burke. He's the partner in Buckaplan.
Of Buckaplan.
Thanks
for joining us, Brian.
Good. How you doing, Brian?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Yeah, but before we start, I had to tell you, when I first saw the name Buckaplan, I thought it was Buck Kaplan, one of my relatives.
So Brian, tell us a little bit. What is Buckaplan?
Well, Buckaplan is a subsidiary of the company I own called Universal Copy, located in the central part of Connecticut. Universal Copy is your traditional reprographics and copying office. We have one location. We have 9 employees. And we mostly cater to architectural firms and construction companies doing their blueprints and their specification printing. And we've had Universal Copy now in business for 7 years. And about 4 years ago, there was a downturn in the economy, and nobody was building any buildings. Therefore, we weren't printing any plans, at least in our area of the state. And we needed to come up with a way to generate some business so we can keep our employees and keep our equipment and therefore keep our business. And we looked at a couple of business models that existed around us or that we were familiar with online, and we saw the example of what 1-800-Flowers had done or 1-800-Pavement had done, and we thought, why can't we rebrand ourselves, advertise not as Universal Copy anymore, but advertise as the company called buckaplan.com, simplify the process for our clients, and we took a leap of faith. 3 years ago, we started Buckaplan, and we did some, we put together an e-commerce site. We did some social media advertising. We put some press releases in, and in fact, one of our first articles and our first ads was in the New England Real Estate Journal back in 2011.
I remember. That's when I started following you guys on Twitter.
And New England Real Estate Journal has been incredible for us. I think we picked up a client 3 days after our first article and ad went into the paper, and they are still using buckaplan.com every week.
And you heard it here, folks. New England Real Estate Journal.
I can't say enough about them, and that's why we continue to go back to New England Real Estate Journal and continue to put in our ads and our articles, and we're thrilled to be on the radio today with them. But what we're doing is we're doing the same service as Universal Copy did, is we just rebranded it and we advertise it differently. So clients outside of our traditional area of Central Connecticut are now hearing about us, and it's all done online. They don't need to come to our office. We don't need to go to their office. They send us a file via email or via our e-commerce site. Our group in our office now prints them, puts them in a UPS tube, ships them to their office directly. They don't have to leave their desk, their job site. And the best part is they know what their cost is. Traditional reprographic companies have always used a sliding scale, even Universal Copy. When you'd come into our office, you would say, I need a price to get 10 sets of these house plans. And depending on the number of sheets, the size of the sheets, and the number of sets you've ordered, there was a different price per drawing per every time you come to our office. It was based on quantity discounts. We've taken that equation right out of the mix. We've said this has been confusing from day one, and our clients don't understand why they have to order so many drawings to get the best price. So we just took that out of the entire mix, and we now say to anybody who contacts us, for any of the 3 standard size blueprints, we'll charge you $1 per plan to print them, and then we'll ship them to your office. And of course, it's the price for the plans plus the shipping to your office. So
right. So it is literally $1 a plan. That's why it's called Buckaplan.
That is. We had some. We looked at a few different names some time ago, and we weren't originally going to call that. But one of the companies we were going to advertise with would not let us put pricing into the advertisements. Therefore, it kind of, because we wanted to advertise pricing with this group, and since we couldn't do it, we decided to call the company the price. Right.
That's brilliant marketing.
Well, and once you go up on the price, though, then you might have $5 a plan or $10 a plan or something like that. But so all they have to do is send you their file through an email.
Correct.
Right?
It's really easy. They can send them to plans at buckaplan.com. Typically, we're receiving PDF files or TIFF files every day, and those are the standard file formats for this industry. And we're just taking those and printing the number of sets that they need. And generally in the New England area, they're receiving them next day at ground rates. So they could order 100 drawings, pay $100, have them shipped directly to their office in Boston or Philadelphia or Washington D.C. and pay between $12 and $16 for that ground shipment. And the feedback we're getting from clients in all different markets is that they're paying between $3 and $4 a plan. They had to go pick them up at the location, and people are doing more with less these days. And we really saw the need to make some changes, and we went out and we interviewed a bunch of subcontractors and asked them what they were struggling with. And what they were struggling with was the cost of making their own prints, either in-house or getting them outsourced, and the amount of time it took them to download the files, review them themselves, and print them themselves in our office. And we've taken all of that out of the mix for them. They could literally email us the files right from their phone, right from their job site, right from their tablet. we're going to give them a confirmation in terms of that we received them and that we've shipped them, and they can track them right online. So it's been a business model that's worked now for 3 years, and we continue to add new clients weekly, and pretty excited about it.
Any company that is putting together any kind of plans actually could use the service, like a sign company that's making designs of signs, and they needed to their diagram reproduced. They would just send a file off to you, and then you could make that, and you send it back to them.
Correct. Anybody that needs a plan, whether it's a homeowner who had some plans designed by a local architect that needs 10 sets to bring to the building department, all the way up to a major construction company building a hospital in New York City or Boston. Our clientele is very diverse. We have got landscape architects, home builders from the Cape. We've got developing groups that are looking at parcels to buy to do big developments. We have retail coming to us, so it's really all over the mark. So
now, what about a complex blueprint that you might have to reproduce? That wouldn't be $1, I'm sure. That's a lot more paper. It's also probably the machines that would reproduce it are probably very
If
costly.
It's one of the 3 standard sizes, it is $1. If they want color or they want to print it on a different material, that's a different pricing structure.
Mm-hmm.
But they can call or email us and inquire about that, and we'll certainly, our team on our phone every day or via email can answer those questions pretty quickly for them. And but your standard black and white blueprint will remain at over $1 a plan.
Brian, so have you seen, I know that when you said as Universal Copy before like the 2008 or 9 recession, that your business was primarily serviced to architects and construction specialists. Have you seen, since you rebranded as Bucket Plan, that it's expanded your target market?
Oh, it definitely has. The way general contractors do business these days is they're typically putting these files through invitation to bid systems or on their FTP sites or their own online, and they're asking the subcontractors to go to these sites and view these projects and download the plans, and so the subcontractors are now getting 3 or 4 invitations per week from these GCs, and they just don't have the time to go in there and download these plans or print these plans themselves. So it has helped us grow our business, and it certainly has increased our, doing this online and shipping has increased our territory. We've sent plans to Chicago. We've sent them to Arizona. We've gotten inquiries from all over the country, and it's it's great.
We have to go to a break right now, Brian. We're going to come back. We'll finish up with you on with your interview, but right now we have to give our sponsor a read and go to a break.
Great.
And this interview is brought to you by New England Restaurant Brokers, recognized leader in the sale of food and liquor business for over 30 years. New England Restaurant Brokers team of restaurant specialists have sold hundreds of food and liquor businesses. If you're looking to buy, sell, or develop a food or liquor business, call New England Restaurant Brokers at 617-721-9655 or go to nerestaurantbrokers.com. Again, that's New England Restaurant Brokers at 617-721-9655 or email nerb@comcast.net. That's nerb@comcast.net. And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
Rick Kaplan is right here on the Money Matters Radio Network.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with my co-host Eric Wilson. And join me and Eric and I, at the 2014 Rhode Island Realtors Conference and Expo on June 26th from 8:30 to 3 at New England Institute of Technology's East Greenwich campus. See some of the newest products and services for lending, marketing, and more. You can also participate in breakout sessions being held throughout the day. For more information or to register, call 401-785-9898 extension 1 or visit rirealtors.org/RIAR Expo. Again, that's 401-785-9898 extension 1 or visit rirealtors.org/RIAR Expo. And we have on the phone with us Brian Burke of Bucket Plan. And we were talking a little bit about
how his market
shipping
opened up after he changed the bucket plan, and now you were saying that it's no longer just specified to. And also, you said your geographic change. You said you have jobs out in Arizona and Chicago.
Yeah, when we decided to rebrand it and make it an online company and advertise it that way, there was no more of companies saying to us, well, you're not in our local area. When we'd go out as Universal Copy and visit somebody in Hartford or Providence, they said, there's no way you can service us. But as soon as we changed the way we branded ourselves and promoted ourselves, we had an online presence and we had a 1-800 number. People didn't know where we were sending drawings from, and it didn't matter anymore. As long as they knew they were paying a fixed rate and getting those plans the next day, it didn't matter where our location was anymore. So that helped us expand the business, and we've been very successful. Once people understand what this concept is and what the pricing is, we've been able to generate new clients. And once these new clients start using us, they've continued to use us for the past 3 years.
Well, I used to have blueprints made years ago, many, many years ago. And, I'd bring it down to the company that would do the reprint, and they put it through that big machine, and then they give me a bill for like $40 or $50, and, and then I have to leave. You're saying that I give you that same blueprint on a
PDF.
email,
Yeah.
and it's only going to cost me $1 plus the shipping.
That is correct.
I mean, that's unbelievable. Now, how long ago did things like that come into play? Has it been like 4 years?
Well, the technology has changed so much in the blueprinting industry. When I came into it, 20 years ago, we were running these big big ammonia machines making traditional blueprints. Very labor intensive, right? The operator had to stand behind the machine and load paper and pull the vellum out or the mylar out to make these copies and run them through the developer. These days with everything being digital, we can literally have the PDF files come into our office. They go right to the machine. They come out. Our operators are stapling and rolling them and putting them in tubes. So it's very efficient these days. Everything's pretty much standardized in terms of the files that we're receiving. So it's basically a nice, clean funnel that's coming in. And there's, since everything's been standardized, we can do this at this rate, and we could do it at that speed. We're now running, 3 years ago we were cutting hours and cutting employees. Now we're adding employees, and we just changed our hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Wow. Brian, so on the e-commerce site, say I go online and I want to do this bucket plan, is there like a dashboard I fill, or do I do the same thing I would do in an email? I just download my PDF to a certain I guess I only think of like a dashboard that you guys have. And also, do you keep these files that they send to you on file at your house or your office in order to, in case, say, I need 10 today and then, maybe I lose a couple
reprint.
and I need more reprints later. Do you guys save that stuff?
We only save them if we're asked to do that.
Okay.
Generally, we're these drawings are coming in and getting printed, and there's a bid on a project, and if the subcontractor doesn't win the project, we're purging out those files. If they win the project and they decide, please keep them on file, we have no problem doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And through the e-commerce site, you're going to create a username and a password just as you would on Amazon.com or Zappos.com, and you're going to save that information. It's going to have your ship to address, your bill to address, and you have that profile, and then you'll be able to go on there, select full-size or half-size plans, number of sets. You'll be able to put in your project name, and then at the end, you'll have to upload the PDF files. And once those are uploaded, you're going to email confirmation back to you saying, Bucket Plan received your files. And then once our operators ship those plans, you're going to get the tracking number, and then you're also going to get a receipt as well for your credit card payment.
Okay, that's fantastic stuff. Here's my other question.
Sure.
After you do, so this is kind of almost like a PayPal account where you put in your billing information, the address that, where the shipping address, the billing address, a little bit of basic information, I'm sure, like my name, last name, what company I work for. Does this also does it keep track on that same profile that I go to? Does it keep track of how many times I've ordered plans with you?
We're able to see how many times you have. You're not able to see that, but you'll be able to track it by your confirmations that you receive back to us via email. You won't see that on the dashboard, but we'll be able to say, Rick or Eric, order 1645 was printed and shipped on this date. And we can come back to that, and we can also, if you do say there to save those files, we can go back to those files.
Nice. So you'll keep track of it on your dashboard, and then we'll keep track of it on our email.
Correct.
All right.
Brian, if someone is interested in your service, how would they get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of us is to go online, and that's buckaplan.com. If they'd like to give us a call, they can call us at 1-855-BUCK-A-PLAN, or they can simply send us an email at plans@buckaplan.com.
And Buck-A-Plan spelled out BUCKAPLAN.
Correct.
All right, so just in case people with Buck-A-Plan, BUC, like the Tampa Bay Bucks. It's actually the buck like the elk or deer,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Yep.
Good info.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. My 2 cents.
Yeah. Well, thank you,
Thanks
Brian.
for joining us, Brian.
Thank you so much.
And our interview with Brian was he joined Eric and I at the 2014 Rhode Island Realtors Convention. Conference, an expo. I keep wanting to call it convention. Conference at the Expo on June 26th from 8:30 to 3 at New England Institute of Technology's East Greenwich campus. See some of the newest products and services for lending, marketing, and more. You can also participate in breakout sessions being held throughout the day. For more information or to register, call 401-785-9898 extension 1 or visit rirealtors.org/RIAR Expo. Again, that's 401-785-9898 extension 1 or visit rirealtors.org/RIAR Expo. And we'll be right back on Money Matters Radio Network.
It's New England Real Estate Journal Radio on the Money Matters Radio Network and online at moneymattersboston.com.
And we're back on New England Real Estate Journal Radio. I'm Rick Kaplan with my co-host Eric Wilson. We're coming to a close of another great show, which I never said at the beginning of the show.
It's funny. I was thinking about that in the beginning of the show. You didn't say that.
And it's brought to you by the New England Real Estate Journal, bringing together the commercial real estate industry for over 50 years. Find us at NEREJ.com. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor for the show, call 800-654-4993 or email us at radio@nerej.com. Again, that's 800-654-4993 or email radio@nerej.com.
Before we go further, I just wanted to say great job today, Rick, putting the show together. Because I thought it was funny that both companies rebranded themselves.
That's true. They did.
And Buck-A-Plan, who rebranded themselves as Buck-A-Plan, actually plugged during his interview the 1-800-PAYMENT. That's one of the references he used, which was our first guest.
Right, I know.
So I like the tie-in you did, Rick. I know you already did all that research last week.
I did research that, and I did plan that way.
It worked out.
I thank you for noticing.
Yeah, so I would also just shout out to all the CEOs and principals out there that rebranding actually works. And it can work wonders if you do it right.
It's changing to the business atmosphere.
Yeah, adapting to what people want.
Yeah.
Right. I thought it was great interviews by both of them.
I do commend both of them.
Yeah, I thought they were
doing that. It's not an easy thing to do.
It isn't. We know. Well, we know change.
Right.
Change is very difficult for those that have been doing something for so long. But I know we have a bunch of great events to get to plug before we get out of here.
Well, the first one we have to plug is June 11th at the Sheridan Harborside, Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Cocktails and Conversation.
Join Rick and I.
Join Eric and I.
We'll do a live show. It's going to be a great time.
And stay tuned for next week when Eric is going to do all the commercial reads.
Yeah, next week I'll be doing the reads. So you guys get to listen to my voice a little bit longer than normal.
And you can see how
watch the fan base rise. Just so you guys know.
We can all watch them sweat, while he's doing it. Then after the...
That sounded kind of weird. I mean, that sounded a little slightly creepy. Dial it in.
Then after we have our event, the following week is the NEBFM 2014 at the Convention Center in Boston.
The day after our event is the IREM dinner. Don't forget that.
Oh, that's right. And we have the IREM dinner.
With Steve Wiley as the keynote speaker. That should be a really good one.
The breakfast that became a dinner.
Well, breakfast in my mind, dinner in real life. Then we have NEBFM the 18th right after that.
We'll be doing our show from that event as well.
Right, and then the following week we're doing our show from the Rhode Island Conference and Expo.
Oh, it's the Conference and Expo.
Conference and
I
Expo.
thought it was the convention.
And that's actually down on the New England Institute of Art
Join
at the
Eric and
East
I.
Greenwich campus.
Right. Join
Right.
Eric and I.
Join Rick and I as we're going to tape our radio show. After that, we have the Connecticut Symposium in July.
That's right. I was just going to get to
Oh,
that.
there you go. Well, I'll let you handle that, Rick.
Okay. Now I got to put my glasses on. July 16th at the Great River Golf Club. That's in Milford, Connecticut. That's an all-day event with all kinds of speakers there. Keynote speaker is Ted C. Jones, Ph.D., Senior Vice President, Chief Economist at Stewart Title Guarantee Company.
Nice.
That's an awful long title.
It is. But that's going to be a really good show, too. I know that, Sabrina, our publisher in Connecticut, is really looking forward to going out there. So it's going to be a great show for them. I know
there's
Rhode
an
Island's
awful lot of things going on.
There is. This is the time to get out and network before the summer comes and we're all
That's right.
We're all living on the boat or on the beach.
And look for our upcoming Cocktails and Conversation because we are
headed to Rhode Island, right?
Yeah, we are putting together the plans for our Rhode Island Cocktails and Conversation, which would be somewhere in September.
Nice.
So all
exciting
of us
stuff from us.
Yeah. And I think we got almost everything in there.
Yeah, we did. It's
we
tough.
covered most of it.
It's good. Always great when we wing it.
Yeah. When don't we? Wing it?
Yeah, I know, right?
That's what everyone loves about our show.
Yeah, right.
The
winging commercial real estate show.
We don't wear shirts and ties. We're
just matching shirts.
Yeah,
matching shirts. Yeah, of course.
We're very laid back. And today the show is brought to you by the New England Real Estate Journal, bringing together the commercial real estate industry for over 50 years. Find us at NEREJ.com. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor for the show, call 800-654-4993 or email us at radio@nerej.com. Again, that's 800-654-4993 or email radio@nerej.com.
We'd like to thank our guests and sponsors today.
And we'd like to thank our guests, Mike Musto from U.S. Pavement and Brian Burke from Burke.
Yeah.
Also, New England
Restaurant
Brokers. The Rhode Island Convention and Expo.
Conference and Expo.
I don't know where I get that.
Yeah. That was really good.
Conference and Expo. And also the
NEBFM.
NEBFM.
Yeah.
And I think this deal is done.